And I want to ask the Minister for Finance what the future prospects of ordinary mortgage holders with Ulster Bank may be in light of the fact that that bank is moving its Arrears Support Unit to Scotland, sacking 110 workers here, and if the Minister will say whether he has had any meetings on these or other issues with Royal Bank of Scotland or Ulster Bank in recent times.
Thank you. Minister number 6.
Ulster Bank Ireland Limited is a regulated entity, licensed pursuant to Section 9 of the Central Bank Act 1971, and also subject to the Central Bank's Mortgage Arrears Resolution Targets process. Ulster Bank's performance in relation to these targets is closely monitored, and the Central Bank MART audits examine the bank's processes of determining and proposing sustainable solutions against the bank's sustainability guidelines. Additionally, the Consumer Protection Framework applies to Ulster Bank Ireland Limited, including a Consumer Protection Code and the Code of Conduct on Mortgage Arrears. These are statutory codes with which Ulster Bank Ireland Limited must comply. The recent announcement by Ulster Bank does not alter these requirements. In terms of mortgage arrears, the CCMA sets out requirements for all mortgage lenders dealing with borrowers facing or in a mortgage arrears, and provides a strong consumer protection framework to ensure that borrowers struggling to keep up mortgage repayments are treated in a fair and transparent manner by their lender, and that long-term resolution is sought by lenders with each of their borrowers. The CCMA sets out the framework that lenders must use when dealing with borrowers in mortgage arrears or in pre-arrears. This framework is known as the Mortgage Arrears Resolution Process, which sets out the steps lenders must follow in dealing with borrowers in difficulty. Step 1, the lender must communicate with the borrower. Step 2, the lender must gather financial information. Step 3, the borrower's circumstances must be assessed. And Step 4, a resolution is proposed. As part of the normal business of my department, my officials meet regularly with Ulster Bank and myself. We met with our BC executives, including the current CEO, last week. The Deputy may be aware that following the review by the UK Treasury in autumn 2013, RBS reaffirmed its commitment to the Irish market. RBS is currently reviewing the operations of Ulster Bank in Ireland with a view to creating a sustainable business model. It is expected that the findings of this review will be published by the end of February 2014.
Deputy Higgins.
Minister, there is a concern among mortgage holders with Ulster Bank and indeed among existing staff with regard to the sacking or of 110 workers here and moving the Arrears Support Unit to Edinburgh. Now, Ulster Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, was, with its practices in the profit fest that was the property bubble, was up to its neck in fueling that here. For example, in 2004, abolishing the Risks Policy Controls Committee, saying it was unnecessary bureaucracy. There are concerns that moving to Scotland is to create a situation where you have a more remote arrears support unit, less sympathetic to mortgage holders here with the problems. Some staff feel that the company will feel less constrained with regard to codes of conduct, but especially new staff on lower pay and conditions in faraway Edinburgh. Do you think that's an ideal way to deal in a proper and sympathetic manner with mortgage holders here who are in distress?
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Well, irrespective of any restructuring of Ulster Bank's Mortgage Arrears Unit, it must continue to comply with the Code of Conduct on Mortgage Arrears. As I explained, the Code of Conduct on Mortgage Arrears sets out requirements for all mortgage lenders dealing with borrowers or in mortgage arrears, and provides a strong consumer protection framework to ensure that borrowers struggling to keep up their mortgage repayments in a fair and transparent must be dealt with in a fair and transparent manner by their lender. So this will not change in any way whether the unit is in Dublin or Belfast or Edinburgh. The same rules apply. And as I say, we've had meetings with Ulster Bank, and they confirm this. I've also met twice, once before Christmas and once after Christmas, with Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, and he assures me that the policy which is published in respect of Ulster Bank is the policy which will continue to be implemented.
Thank you. Deputy Higgins.
Minister, as you know, the Royal Bank of Scotland has, which is our Ulster Bank as part of that, has a global restructuring group with the likelihood that mortgage loans of ordinary householders will be put onto the international marketplace in the same way as the former Irish nationwide mortgage holders, to be snapped up by vulture capitalists again. Don't you see that the same problem and fears that we spoke about earlier with regard to the mortgage holders now in the grasp of the IBRC can be repeated here? When the Chief Executive Officer of Ulster Bank was in front of the Finance Committee, I found him distinctly unsympathetic towards mortgage holders in arrears in some of the comments that he made. So what I'd like to ask you is, did you meet the Chief Executive of either of these two, the Ulster Bank or Royal Bank of Scotland? Were they among the executives you met? And did they give you any indication of what the future holds for the ordinary mortgage holders currently with them?
Thank you. Final reply, Minister.
Yeah, I met the Chief Executive of the Royal Bank of Scotland, and he was accompanied by the Chief Executive of Ulster Bank. And we discussed the future of Ulster Bank, and what they said is consistent with what the information I got from the Governor of the Bank of England, Mark Carney. Ulster will continue to trade on the island of Ireland, north and south, and there will try to be a high street bank providing the kind of services that are needed. But we should remember... Look, you know that banks all over the world lost an awful lot of money. Royal Bank of Scotland suffered very, very severe losses, and also its subsidiary in Ireland, Ulster Bank, suffered very severe losses. So they're all restructuring, they're all trying to be more efficient, they're all trying to cut costs, and as part of the restructuring they moved the unit to Edinburgh. But what I'm saying is, from a legal or a practical point of view, that will not affect mortgage holders in Ireland, because Ulster is still bound by the same rules as the banks that have their mortgage units here. But of course we regret the loss of jobs in the unit. Any loss of jobs is not welcome, and we would prefer if the unit had stayed here, and that the 110 jobs or so that would be lost would be still maintained in Ireland.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Pringle has the